What are you doing to actually attract the attention to get someone to say, I want to click on, I want to buy that thing?
The most volatile thing that I feel in e-commerce selling is
how are you using AI to review large data sets to rank on e-com?
You know what's funny about TikTok is they actually give you...
Where are you actually getting the raw data to actually train the AI on?
I think every marketplace gives us as consumers a different experience, and TikTok is definitely...
All right, boys and girls, we've got Julianne Crafton in the house today. Pay attention because you're going to learn a little bit of something about selling stuff online. Julianne, within 3 years of opening her business, had done $40 million in e-commerce sales. So we're going to learn about e-com. We're going to learn about how she's leveraging AI to scale and work smarter, not harder. And let's face it, that's why we're here, baby. That's why we're here. Julianne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. This will be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, because I always learn something. So $40 million in sales, that's a pretty freaking big deal. Tell me about that. What was that moment like when you closed down the financials year 3 and you saw 40 million? You're like, holy cow, this is crazy. What was that feeling like?
It was, it was a thing. And so that target was my number because I had done that for somebody else when I worked for somebody. And so to be able to replicate that again, there's always that little bit of fear that you hear inside your head. Sometimes they're like, can I do this again? Like, can we do this and then do it faster? Because you've already had the architecture that you had built before. And so you can make it back faster. You can get to that point and then do it better, because as humans, we all learn from the lessons that we did before. That's how you stay uncomfortable. That's how you stay growing, is to learn from what you've done, look back on it, think about, okay, how can I do this better, more efficient, faster, and do it better the second time and the third time, and then just keep reinventing that. Because if you don't continue to evolve, you will go backwards, and or stay the same. That's no fun either one. So
I definitely see that in the YouTube, Instagram, let's go viral type of industry. It's I'm not gonna say it's easy to go viral, but it can be very difficult to replicate in some cases. So, and let's face it, if you're going to have a successful business, you need to be able to replicate success over and over and over again. We want to systematize it. I think that's important. What do profit margins look like?
But going viral would be out of your control because you're dependent upon other people to react or get them to react the way that you need them to, right? Well, with e-commerce, I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just selling products. And so to choose and to develop the relationships that we've been cultivating for 20 years is not, you're just doing that and then reinventing that and then figuring out, hey, I want a better buy. I want a better price. I want to, all of that. It's not reinventing the wheel. So I would say this is easier than going viral, at least, especially in my case. So just because I'm not necessarily dependent on getting people to react to be able to generate that momentum, I'm just enticing them to buy products they're already buying them and to buy from us instead of somebody else. So,
well, I find that the same concepts hold true across platform, whether it's getting people to click on a video and watch the video, or whether it's getting someone to click on a listing and buy the item, or whether it's getting somebody to click on an email, say, oh, I like that subject line. A lot of the same concepts hold true. Obviously, there's differences across platforms, but it strikes me that it really comes down to human emotion and psychology at the end of the day, right?
I would definitely agree with that. And you're right, because there is a lot of similarities between marketplaces specifically and like social media sites. And so you're right. There's a lot of synergy there because you at the end of the day, it doesn't cost them anything to like something, but people can be very finicky. And so you got to, understand that and be able to evoke that emotion or that suggestion or gesture that they need to complete the process, whether it's clicking like or clicking buy. You're right. They do have to do a similar situation. So definitely.
So how do you like to get people to actually click the buy? If I'm scrolling through Amazon, if I'm scrolling through eBay, Shopify, what does it look like? What are you doing to actually attract the attention to get someone to say, I want to click on that, I want to buy that thing?
Well, I wish I could tell you there was some magic potion that you just, drop on it or something like that, but it doesn't quite work like that. Each marketplace is different, right? So Amazon has its own algorithm. They have their own buy box rotation. They control the reins in that situation. So you've got to be able to figure out, how can I play in their marketplace, in their sandbox, and get them to react the way that I need to. And when you're competing against an algorithm, you have to understand how all of the different functions work, right? So we've tried to create the best practices or the best recipes in order to get that to work properly. It's not an exact science, right? But you know that the store has to be healthy, your price has to be competitive, you need to have the right mix of products in order to sell. And it really comes down to a numbers game in that sense, right? So I know if I put up X amount of listings for X amount of products, there's a percentage of those that will sell, and you need all of them to sell. So how do I get the majority to sell? And you got to have pictures, you got to have content, you got to have the right keywords in every single listing, but not every listing is your listing. So sometimes you're selling on someone else's listing, and then each platform has its own variants, right? So Walmart is completely different than eBay. eBay is different than Amazon, and all three have their own customer base. So you've got to kind of cater to all these different audiences and all these different marketplaces in order to figure it out. But each one is different. With eBay, you want to keep those listings new and fresh. Don't just keep relisting them until they're ended. You want to bring them down and then put them back up, because eBay's algorithm works and functions differently, so that they're at the top if you bring a listing down and then repopulate it. But you don't want to do that if you've got history on that listing, meaning if you've got positive feedback, you don't want to take that listing down. So then you need to keep revising it to make sure that the content stays fresh. And eBay recognizes that and then automatically promotes it without as much advertising, right? So each system is different. Each marketplace is different. It's just learning how to figure them out. And it's kind of like reading people. You got to read the marketplaces, and then how they change, you've got to be able to react and change what you do and tweak it.
And view the competitors, right? One of my bigger clients in my YouTube marketing agency is a very big Amazon seller. He's doing like $25 million in Amazon sales a year. He's got his own SaaS products, and et cetera. And one of the things that you learn when you're producing content at scale for clients, YouTube, newsletters, et cetera, is you learn about their business. And one of the things that strikes me is how much data is involved and how much data analysis is involved in the listings. To your point, e-commerce is not just about putting a picture of a sexy woman with a quick tagline on it. You actually need to know how to work the algorithm so that you can show up on the first page, right? And so something you had mentioned to me that I thought was interesting, Julianne, because I'm fascinated with AI. I like to work smart, not hard, right? And one of the issues you can run into with handling huge data sets is it just takes a lot of time to go through it. You mentioned, how are you using AI to review large data sets to rank on e-com?
So it used to be, right, as humans, we would have to literally go through line by line, create it, write the content out from scratch, right? You got a blank piece of paper, you need to fill it out. And even the stuff that the actual manufacturer gives you about the product that's made, or if it's a product that we developed, you've got to invoke passion, you've got to invoke want and need and desire for the product, besides giving the specifications on each of the items, right? There's no way that one person can know everything about every single niche and product that's out there. AI has helped us be better at what we do and lessen the amount of actual man hours by dumping all of this data for all these different types of products into the AI software and then have it spit it out. Then I just have to go over and review it, right? I say I, but it's been a minute since I've done it. So, our team, our employees go through and review that content to make sure, does it make sense? Do we need to tweak it? And then the AI just keeps getting better and better at what it does based on what we give it to do on a daily basis, right? So it's scary in a sense but it's also makes so much more impact on a business. Because in size, we're a small business as far as like how many employees we have or what we're doing, because we do try to leverage as much technology that's out there in order to make us the most efficient, because the more efficient I can make us as a business, better profits for our clients, better profits for us. So Why not, do that as much as possible instead of staying tried and true to the old school ways, which there's still a lot of stuff that I do old school when it comes to connecting with distributors and manufacturers, because you need that human relationship. But overall, leveraging AI to be able to review the keywords, the titles, what the listing content is, the bullet points, any of that, what is the best infographics that I can display that will teach people about this product in order to get them to buy the product? Like, what are the important data points? And I can't know everything about every single product. And so we do rely heavily on AI to be able to assist us with that. And that's proven well. It does its job. But the content is amazing. The size of files that these guys go through is amazing. It makes my head spin sometimes. So
Can you go a level deeper onto this, Julianne? I know in this is part of the blessing of having a team to handle some of the stuff, but I want to go a little bit deeper into this. What type of data are you exporting? Where are you importing it to? And what are you looking for on the back end, right? Why? Let's get a little bit more granular on the exact why and how that we're using the AI.
So my husband's a big SQL fan, right? So we've created a pretty massive database out of SQL in order to query what we want and pull the data out. So as we get on board new distributors and manufacturers, they'll give us when I say raw data, if I need to sell you this pen, you're going to get size, weight, dimensions, you're going to get blue and white, but you're really not going to know the inner workings, why this pen is better than this pen, for example, right? And so I have to turn that into something that is sexy enough in order for people to buy. People don't look at the content, but the algorithms look at the content, right? So if we take and leverage that massive database and pull out descriptions, titles, and bullet points, specifically those 3 items, and put that into our AI software in order for it to generate the multi-layered end result that you see as a consumer on Amazon or eBay or Walmart, that enhances your listing, right? Because you've got the content, you've got the keywords that are in there. It's truthful about what this is, and it attracts, so that when you want to entice the algorithm, it takes the keywords and the content that's optimized. When you want to attract the people, you want to have the pictures that are out there that makes people want to buy your product, because people buy on phones more than they do on PCs and tablets, right? And so on a phone, you don't have a lot of data to be able to give them. So whatever they put in that search box, you need to be able to pick up traction on your content listing. And so doing that, enhancing the pictures to make sure that they're good. And that's just how we do it on our own listings. But you're also selling on other people's listings where you don't have always the control to be able to maneuver that. And so then it comes down to staying at, with that 2% of the buy box on Amazon, staying on top of that pricing and being aggressive, but not losing losing your profit margin too, because you need to be able to know what you're doing. The most volatile thing that I feel in e-commerce selling is your shipping costs, right? Because everybody wants free shipping, but everybody also has to know that shipping gets charged at some point. And so somebody's paying for shipping. So shipping is probably our biggest thing that that will define a sale, right? Because you know what the profit margin is on the product, but you need to be able to zero in and pinpoint that shipping on that product first. And so there's a lot of layers that go into it. Does that give a little bit better understanding of how we leverage AI in that?
A little bit. So are you using AI to help you with the shipping costs? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Some of it. So obviously you've got UPS, USPS, and FedEx, right? You have weight and dimensions of a product that will equal what the overall weight, because this is a pen, maybe an ounce or 2, right? And if you've done any shipping before, you would know that this pen is probably going to ship the least expensive through USPS. But out of USPS, there's 100 different options of shipping that it could be taken advantage of, right? You have to identify which ones are going to be trackable, because each marketplace has to be trackable. So you can't just drop it in a stamped envelope, right? So how do we optimize that, not knowing where the actual buyer is going to be that's going to buy your product? So Kansas is in the middle of the lower 48 states. And so I can get a baseline of shipping costs if I ship from Kansas, using that as my baseline. And then how do I figure out, because you have multiple warehouses around the country to where it's going to ship from, assuming they all have the same amount of inventory, on that particular product. So there's a lot of moving pieces that goes in just developing what the shipping costs are. And so you can, based on where people are at in the United States, you can better identify what is the percentage, like a gambling situation, that X person over here on the East Coast is going to buy. And so my shipping cost to Kansas is going to not just make me more profitable, but it will, eventually give us the majority, because you will lose money on shipping at times, but how do you figure out how do you lose the least amount of money, right? It's just, so it's a probability factor. So if AI tells us what's the probability of people buying this product and where are they at in the United States in the most, the largest group of them, then we can use that. Again, it's a baseline, but it gives you a more identifiable shipping cost and the probability of that shipping cost to be accurate than just pinpointing it and say, okay, I'm going to use the shipping cost to ship it to Kansas as my basis and then go. Well, if it's a product that is anything to do with grass year round, that is going to go into your southern states and in border states, right? Because we don't have grass showing here in Michigan right now, it's snow. So if I have a product that has anything related to grass or water, you need to understand where is the biggest probability of that product shipping to.
Well, but when I guess that applies when you're selling something with free shipping. Is that right?
Almost everything is sold with free shipping, and in our world, at least. Yes.
Well, I guess it depends on the platform too. Like, because if I buy something on Amazon, for example, and I'm not an Amazon Prime user, I'm paying
shipping
for some cost of shipping, right? Yeah. So I guess the fact it wouldn't matter so much in that particular case, but if I was selling it on a different platform where I guess the seller is absorbing that shipping cost, then you need to calculate it in.
Correct. And 90% of our, I shouldn't say 90, 70% of our products, we would absorb the shipping costs on those, and 30% we.
But how are you getting the data set? Like how, if you're launching a new product, how would you know that this percentage of sales is probably going to come from here, from there, from there? Where are you actually getting the raw data to make to actually train the
similar
AI?
Products. Yeah, similar products. So if how many new pens do you see out there, right? I mean, just using that as an example. So if I find a similar product, and that's typically as an e-commerce seller, I don't bring new items to the market. I mean, they may be new for me, but there's a lot of like items already out there. It's rare to find the unicorn, right? That you can just go big and out of the blue, and it had nothing to do with anybody else of what they're selling. So if I'm going to find like products out there that's already selling, you're just going to be able to figure out, okay, this makes sense. And this is the probability based on the data that you're inputting into AI to be able to spit that out for you.
Sure. There's another trend that we're seeing in the e-com world, which is this live selling trend. I'm not sure how much you're seeing of this, but it is huge over in China. And we're starting to see it really roll out on TikTok Shop, where someone is, trying on their bathing suit or showing their pen. Does that change the math on how you're actually trying to rank for listings? Does that change the math, do you think, on where people are going to be actually, where the buyer behavior is going to be? What are your thoughts on live selling and e-com?
So I think every marketplace gives us as consumers a different experience. And TikTok has definitely taken over very large percentages and grown extremely fast, right? 10, 12 years ago, Walmart had its chance to overtake Amazon as a marketplace, but they just really lacked in the technology side of things. Doesn't mean that they're a bad marketplace. It just means that they're different. And so they didn't have the technology and advancement, right? TikTok seems to have it. I mean, from a seller standpoint, there's no store cost to open up a TikTok shop. It's 1.8% selling fees on the sales for the first 90 days, and then it caps out at 5% after the first 90 days. So what else other incentive would you need to be able to sell on TikTok Shop, right? And their growth is phenomenal, to your point, because they are catering to a generation in the niche that loves to be fed content. And so they've mixed that fed content situation and then put in a little bit of selling. I mean, you're encouraging buying products on things when you're making it fun to be able to do it. So it's a different way to market for them. And I think that there's a huge chance that they could easily be one of the ones that overtakes, from a sales perspective. Doesn't mean that Amazon goes away or the other, marketplaces go away, but they've definitely added a unique spin to it. And I think it's fun. Here's the other fun part. I don't have to be the one, or my sellers or clients don't have to be the one making all the content, because that's not what we're good at. We're good at giving out products and buying products. So I pick people that's what they specialize in, to be able to sell that on our behalf. And it's a commission based. It's a win-win.
Right. You're finding influencers in the space, influencers in your niche, and giving them basically an affiliate commission for clicks and sales. And considering how much, I can't remember the dollar amount, but the amount of money that TikTok is generating through their marketplace is astronomical. I don't know if you have that number. It's in the billions.
Oh, I know. I don't have the exact number either, but the growth is just, it went from 0 to hero in, it seemed like seconds, right? But it's, it's been a minute, but it's not been that long.
And the reason I bring this up is because it's really taken over the e-com space. But what I would expect is going to happen 2025, 2026 in the future is that other platforms are going to be like, can we replicate the success that TikTok has had? You already actually see this a little bit on Amazon. Some of the like camera products and electronics that I'll look at, there'll be a guy kind of like doing reviews. Some of them are like pre-recorded videos, like a YouTube. Some of them are live selling though. And so I wonder if maybe other platforms like, again, your Amazon, your Walmart are going to start to pick up. I guess the user experience is very different though on TikTok.
Right.
And on Amazon.
Well, it's different audiences, right? Even though everybody loves Amazon because they've spent a ton of money to teach us that we need products next day, 2-day delivery, or same day sometimes, depending on where you're at. So they would be foolish not to have taken on to some of it. And you're right, they have made changes, but they're also different. They're a different platform, and they're bigger now to be able to make that wide pivot to develop something as that would be equal to where TikTok has already gotten it, because they started as content. Amazon started as selling books and, CDs. And so they've made that evolution, but it took them a minute. It took them a hot minute to be able to get to that. And so I don't know that they will be able to maneuver, because of the size that they are, to maneuver that, because Amazon, this is the first year in a long time that they didn't increase their selling fees, right, for products. And so they're not exactly seller friendly. They're our customer centric platform. And so even though more than 70% of their products that they sell are from third-party sellers, like me, you, and your friend, they still are not kind always to sellers, right? Because they know they don't need them per se. Their platform is just massive, where eBay is very seller-centric. Walmart is kind of in between. TikTok is enhanced it simply because of the fees. They know they don't have to be greedy to try to get all these fees. And so sellers can be more profitable on their platform than they can in other marketplaces. So why not entice it? And it's fun. And its growth is phenomenal, like what you're saying. And so the numbers, show that they could actually take over that number one spot that Amazon has held true on for such a long time.
And I would be, quite frankly, surprised if Instagram doesn't break into the live selling, because I find Instagram and TikTok are pretty similar user experience. And quite frankly, Polymarket has like an over 30% chance that TikTok actually just gets outright banned in the United States. And so all these companies have to be salivating over all that market share that they could soak up if they had a similar type of option.
Assuming if that happens, right? They put that deadline, was it January 15th, right? I think that they're afraid that there would be too much backlash to be able to do that. And I can't think of the billionaire's name that's looking at buying it, but he's looking at buying it without the algorithm, and the algorithm is the engine. So I don't quite understand how, and it could be just my, naivete. I don't understand how buying that without the algorithm would make sense, because what is a platform, whether it's a marketplace or a social media content, without the algorithm that made it what it is? And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
TikTok has really led the way in a lot of things. To your point, if you don't get the algorithm, the TikTok algorithm changed the way that YouTube Shorts work, Instagram Reels work. It changed everything because, just to kind of catch people up to speed, TikTok doesn't care how many subscribers you have or how many followers you have. They just care about, are people watching the videos, and then it'll recommend it out from there. we'll see. My thought when it comes to TikTok is not so much that I don't think it's going to be banned either, quite frankly, but it's not because of like public backlash. I think that it probably won't be banned because there's just so much money and so much attention that powerful people are not going to want to let that go. So that's kind of my
there's a
take.
ton of potential, and you're right. I mean, they were one of the first ones that kind of leveled that playing field, because influencers has been a relatively new thing, right? I mean, that's an actual career. That is something that makes people millionaires and billionaires, is to become an influencer. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at on a college application at some point that they have this available. But at the same time, if you can level that playing field, and from a seller or content creator standpoint, I mean, that's pretty big. That would give somebody like me a chance to actually do something well on TikTok, to put it out there, because I mean, I have 1 billion followers or 100,000 plus followers, things like that. And so how do you create that? And then as a seller, that's even more enhancing to be able to get out there and say, hey, I can really make this work and do well at it. And every client that's in our ecosystem, to be able to push that out to mimic what they're already selling on their other platforms fairly instantaneously across on TikTok, it's not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal at all.
Not at all. And the whole affiliate system just makes a lot of sense, because you're just paying, you say, hey, I can take this, whatever it is, 5%, 10%, 20% chunk, and that'll go to the affiliate influencer who sells it, which, by the way, I think that's another really important skill, is actually getting people to agree to sell your affiliate thing, because there's so many SaaS physical products that have affiliate affiliate commissions attached to it. I get hit up all the time for my YouTube channel. I'm telling.
Hey, Mark, do you want to be my affiliate? I'm teasing.
It's all the time. And so I'm at a point now, I'm like, okay, I can do an affiliate, but you have to give me cash up front just so I can actually see if you're serious about it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. Or the flip side of that is, if there's a particular software that I really like and I'm like, this is gas, I'm using it all the time, then I'll apply for the affiliate, and then I'll recommend it, to clients or to fans, audience, etc.
No, it's a fun thing. You know what's funny about TikTok is they actually give you your money as a seller so much faster. I mean, just like what eBay does, right? So it's a daily payout or 1 to 2 days. I mean, they're not holding on to it like banks do, like Amazon and Walmart. So again, there's just a lot of incentives as a seller to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing that we can all agree on, everybody, it's that the world is changing very, very rapidly. Lines of business are going to change. Every single, that's why I talked a little bit about AI is changing everything, the influencer marketplace, media, everything is changing. Now is the time to adapt. Now is the time to examine different business strategies and options. Obviously, you're just listening to Juliann Crafton here today. She knows her stuff. She's innovating. She's trying new things. So if you are looking at getting to the e-commerce space, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to Juliann. Juliann, where's the best place for us to find you?
www.jjcunlimited.com, or Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But yes, so I on all three. There's the business pages out there, or you can reach out to me directly at Julianne Crafton as my handle in all of them too. So happy to hear from you and see your e-commerce journey explode. We do importing, we do exporting, we sell more than just the US market as well. And so it's a fun ride.
E-commerce is definitely alive and well, very competitive, not easy, but I go to a Best Buy. There's no one at Best Buy anymore.
No, your brick and mortar stores. It breaks my heart at sometimes, but at the same time, that's why COVID.
I used to work at Best Buy. I love Best Buy. I have like really good friends that I knew from that I met at Best Buy, but I went in there the other day.
Home Depot is my husband's 2 favorite stores. So you got it going on. So
Home Depot is still busy, but Best Buy, gosh, dude.
You have to have the inventory dollars to stock the physical parts, and then think about how many stores Best Buy has, across the United States and abroad. So how do they manage it when you can do on e-commerce so much less overhead costs to be able to do that? Now we have a warehouse here in Michigan. We leverage other warehouses across the United States. So why, my cost of doing business is much less than somebody like a Best Buy when they've got massive amounts of overhead.
Exactly. Well, and the reason you go into Best Buy is because you want to learn about like, oh, what about this computer? Or what about that computer? What about RAM or the ROM or blah, 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 blah. Well, now you can either A, just go to YouTube or TikTok or something and find the information, or you'll go into the store, you'll talk to a handsome young man like myself, and you'll be like, okay, thanks, I'll see you later. And then you go home and you buy it online. So it's the world's changing very fast. E-com is not going anywhere, and pretty soon you'll have drones dropping off your
I
boxes
think
for you.
Best Buy should do virtual salespeople, meaning that if I wanted to buy the Best Buy product, I can connect with you and then have that quick conversation and then still buy it offline. So
I could see that. Best Buy, if y'all are watching, you can have that one for free. Julianne's giving that one to you for free. Well, thanks for joining the show here today, Julianne.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.